Hey everyone, guess what we're going to make today? I'm going to make my famous French macarons, or as a lot of people like to call them, macaroons, or I guess if you're in France, French macaron. I don't know. Anyway, yesterday I made these gorgeous chocolate mint macarons, and today I'm going to make some lemon macarons and share all of this wonderful information with my friends who've all been asking me, how do I make them? So here we go. So the first thing that I need to do is get my egg whites, and I'm kind of cheating nowadays and I'm using already cartoned egg whites instead of actually 2 egg whites from real eggs. And so you normally would use 2 egg whites at room temperature, but I am going to cheat and use cartoned egg whites. So I'm going to zero out my scale, make sure that it is on grams, and then we're going to measure out 66 grams of egg whites. 65. Oh goodness, drop, drop. There we go, perfect, 66 grams. And to get them to room temperature a little quicker is I'm going to actually set them in a bowl of just warm water while I prep all of the rest of my ingredients. Alright, so now I'm going to get that out of the way. Alright, the next step that I'm going to do is once the egg whites are at room temperature, I'll need to whip them, and I need to add some sugar to that. So we're going to add 4 tablespoons of granulated sugar. And literally a pinch of salt. And so I'm telling you, it is just such a tiny bit of salt. That's actually too much. I don't know if you can see what's in there. That's a little bit more than I want. It's, oh, I don't know, maybe 50 grains of salt, maybe, if that. So we're going to put that in there, and we're going to set this aside. Done with my salt. And I'm done with my sugar. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get ready our flour, and you must use almond flour. I tried coconut flour, it doesn't work. Regular flour doesn't work. It absorbs way too much moisture. So you're going to use almond flour. I had a little bit left over in another container, and so a lot of cooking shows will show that you put this in a food processor and get it really fine. I have found that just a simple colander and a bowl works great. So you want to sift it at least twice. So this is a half a cup of almond flour, and then I'm going to sift it. And don't use a flour sifter or a sugar sifter, it just doesn't work the same. Again, trial and error. Once you get these clumps like this, it's a little easy to kind of soften them up a little bit. Some almond flours are a little bit more coarse, and so you might find there's a little bit of larger chunks of almond flour. I did experiment one day making pecan flour, and that was very interesting. If you process nuts a little too long, you'll release the oils, and so you don't want to do that. So the key is to pulse the nuts, and it was very tricky to make pecan flour. I probably won't do it again. Okay, I sifted those once. See how fine that is? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sift it one more time. Actually, I like sifting in a larger bowl better, so I'm going to actually dump this in a small bowl and then go right back in here. Get it all. So I'm going to sift it one more time. It gets a little easier every time. And it does a little bit of a time-consuming task, but I'll tell you, a lot of love goes into my macarons. chunk. All right. I'm going to dump this in here one more time, but I'm not going to sift it until, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 cup of powdered sugar. Yesterday I made chocolate macaron shells, and what I did was I went a little easy on the 1 cup and I added 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and that was great. I am always leery of using a whole cup of powdered sugar and 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder because that is more moisture or more dry ingredients that have to get absorbed by the liquid. And keep in mind, the only liquid in macarons is the egg whites. And in this case, because we're going to color ours a little bit today, there will be a couple of drops of food coloring, but that's it. That's all the liquid there is. And you can see I'm making a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. So I'm about halfway through sifting the powdered sugar, and I'm going to go ahead and add the almond flour. Kind of stir it around and let it get incorporated really well. And if I'm making chocolate, what I'll do is I'll sift the cocoa powder and the powdered sugar together once, then I'll mix it with the almond flour and sift it all together one more time. So it is a lot of sifting, but it's worth it to have nice, smooth shells on your macaron shells. Now we're ready to go. There's that nice sifted mixture, and it's so pretty. Again, this is just a half a cup of almond flour and 1 cup of powdered sugar. I want to cover a couple of extra helpful hints when making macarons and prepping. You really want to have everything ready to go so that as soon as your wet mixture and dry mixture are ready, you're ready to start piping. So my husband bought me these wonderful, I call them cheaters, and they're already marked with the circles as a guide. You can buy these silicone mats without the circles, but we bought these online from Amazon, I believe. And as you can see, I'm just using, I guess it's called a jelly roll pan. So I have 3 of these, and I have them ready to go. So when it's time to start piping, my pans are ready to go. And speaking of piping, I used to use Ziploc bags and put all of the stuff in and pipe it, and we found online these wonderful pack of 100 Ziploc piping bags that are wonderful. So, and I'm usually making these at home by myself, so I don't have somebody that's able to hold the bag like this. So I have these great cups, and I just put the bag in there and prep the bag and get it around the cup so that when it's time for me to start pouring the batter in, I'm good to go. And another cheat that I actually do is I clip the very tip just ever so slightly to add just a teeny bit of air in there. Otherwise, when you put the batter in, it'll probably stop about here and it'll start getting full. You're eventually going to clip a little bit more when you get ready to start piping. But for now, a tiny air hole is perfect. These macarons are going to be colored, so we are going to use gel food coloring. It's really important. It's really important that you use gel food coloring. Regular food coloring is a little bit too liquidy. And so today, even though I'm going to make lemon, I'm a little bored with yellow right now from the pollen. It's been pollen season. So I'm going to actually use the red food coloring, and I'm just going to use a couple of drops to make it pink. So it will probably look like a pink lemonade, but it's just going to be lemon. And so this is a great pack. It's just got the 4 basic food coloring colors, but you want to use the gel. Okay, now it's time to whip the egg whites. I dumped my room temperature egg whites in here, and I'm old school. I have a great big mixer, but I just prefer this. Once the egg whites are a little bit foamy is when I like to go ahead and start adding in my sugar that has that little pinch of salt. Don't want to forget to add a couple of drops of the food coloring. So we're going to go with about 2 drops. There we go. Definitely want to get them to right about almost stiff peaks. I call them medium stiff peaks. I'm not sure if that's a term or not. Alright, now here's where we get moving a little bit faster. Now I'm going to incorporate the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. You can do it a spoon at a time, or you can dump the whole thing in there. That's just up to you. See it all in there, and I'm just going to fold it. And as soon as I'm done folding this in, I'm going to put it into my piping bag and get ready to start piping. It kind of looks like marshmallow fluff, if you've ever stirred marshmallow fluff, but it's not quite as sticky. I'm using a baby spatula only because I like this color, but you could use a bigger spatula if you wanted to. Make sure you get all of the dry ingredients incorporated. Now you're just going to guide it right into that bag. To rock and roll on these macarons. Alright, ready to go. My wonderful assistant probably can swap out for me as I need to. So here we go. You able to see that? Move that. I'm going to cut about another 1/4 inch off the bag, and that's going to start dripping out. This took me some practice. Some people want to go around in circles, but I just find that it's easier to just use a little bit of pressure than release. A little bit of pressure and release. Sometimes I count because I'm OCD like that, and I go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. But it just depends on your mood. Just know that you've got to go kind of quick, because you can see as soon as I pick it up, it's already starting to drip out of the tip. I learned the hard way, if you don't have enough pans ready, you're in trouble if you get to a point of no return. If anything, you can invert the bag upright to keep anything from dripping. Or sometimes you need to get a better grip. Because it's starting to get empty, so you need to regroup, get a good grip on the bag. Normally when we're not filming, I'm just moving over to the next pan physically, but Obviously I can't. I'm going to have a little bit of extra dough. So I've always found a way to cheat that, is I can do a little one right here. Maybe. I'll pick another spot. There. Maybe some little ones. They might turn out, they might not. I don't know how I had so much extra batter on this one. Normally it's exactly even. But, and there we go. The next thing we're going to do once we get everything piped in is then we have to beat out the air bubbles. Always warn whoever's in your house that you're about to make a lot of noise or you're going to scare somebody. Alright, so the best way to get the air bubbles out is beat it just a little bit. And you see the air bubbles that have risen up. This one had a lot of air bubbles in it. Alright, now we wait. We need to let these dry, or they form like a skin on them so that if you were to touch it, it wouldn't stick to your fingers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these into one of our bedrooms underneath the ceiling fan and let the ceiling fan air them out for about 18 to 20 minutes before I even turn the oven on. So let me move on to the filling. Because these are lemon, a secret ingredient that I really like to use is lemon curd. I don't make my own lemon curd, I just buy it, and this is the brand that I found that I like. And so once I get ready to pipe the lemon curd in, I just use, I won't even need this much. This is just for literally the center of the macaron. And I've got these great little snack bags, little Ziploc bags. I'll just put it in there, zip it up. I like to keep it down in the corner, and then when I'm ready, I'll just snip the tip off. And I've already made my lemon cream cheese frosting, and this is just cream cheese, powdered sugar, and I like to use lemon jello. You could use lemon pudding with a little bit of lemon juice, milk, and whip it till it's nice and fluffy. And usually when I make French macarons, I always have way more filling than I need. So this is an extra large batch. I actually have even more of this, but again, it's in another bag, pastry bag, or a piping bag, and I just clip the tip off of it, and this one's ready to go. $3.25. These macarons have dried for 20 minutes plus the time it took for my oven to heat to 325, and as you can tell, they are not glossy looking anymore, and I can run my finger across it without it sticking to my finger, just ever so delicately. So I'm going to pop these in the oven for 8 minutes, and then I'm going to turn them around for 4 more minutes and take them out. Wish me luck. Alright, so they did 8 minutes and then turned around and did 4 minutes. I'm going to let those cool, and then I'm going to put these uncooked ones in for 8 minutes. Start, and I want to brag on these babies. Look how they rose really nicely. So I'm going to let these cool, and then I'll do my last pan and get it ready. Alright, once you know the macarons have cooled a little bit, you want to take them off the mat. That's how you know that they're really good. It's just nice and soft, or not soft, but smooth. You can almost pick them up, but I like to put a little bit of pressure underneath. Because if you try to pull them up too quickly, you might damage it. And if they're not cooked all the way, some of the inside will stick to the mat. So you want to pull all of these off. And then the next thing you need to do is then you need to match them up, because it would be weird to have a little tiny one here with a big one here. You see, they don't match. So this is where the fun begins, part of the fun. And I can also tell that I didn't pipe all of them perfectly even. So, for example, if I put these two together and I put my finger on it and they feel pretty even, then I know that's a pretty good match. So what I'll do is I'll put one face up and one face down, and that's a pair. I'm going to come back to that. Now it's time to fill. Normally I would fill the whole thing, but because I'm going to do almost 2 fillings, I'm going to leave a hole right there for my lemon curd once it's time. Ta-da! Beautiful macarons! The ultimate taste test. Every baker has to taste their creation. There's all the good stuff. A little chewy on the inside. This will be perfect in a few hours. Happy eating!